Have you ever wanted to remove a person's face? I'm going to guess yes, seeing as how you clicked on this here video. Because today, we will be creating a portrait fit for any haunted mansion, abandoned house, or my own personal living room. Not into worms? Try flowers, or use it to create a surreal stitch effect. This Photoshop effect is much more versatile than it might seem, so don't run and hide just yet. Let's jump right into how to create a haunted portrait effect in Adobe Photoshop. But first, let me tell you where all of the images we will be using today can be found, so that you can follow along right alongside me. EnvatoElements.com is my go-to place for stock photos, fonts, and graphics for both photo and video editing. You can check out all of the links for the images I will be using today in the video description below. Go ahead and place your subject onto the canvas. I'll be using this very soft, almost fairy-esque theme photo, as I like the contrast of the flowers to the worms we will be adding in later on. I want to start everything off by setting up our color grade. In most cases, I save this for last, but given that it changes the image pretty significantly, I'm going to do it first this time around, placing all of the color adjustments into a folder that I can then toggle on and off as needed. This color grade is pretty beefy, consisting of a whopping 10 adjustment layers, so I'm going to do a quick rundown or else we'd be here all day. Feel free to pause and slow me down to get the exact settings. So, in order from bottom to top, we have a color fill layer set to a deep forest green with a blend if setting, set to what you see here. We'll be talking more about blend if a little later on. Next, a color lookup layer set to moonlight to darken things up a little bit more, again with some adjustments to the blend if settings. A second color lookup layer set to Kodak 5218 to brighten up those highlights. A third color lookup set to 3 stripe to up the saturations of the colors. A fourth color lookup set to a foggy night to bring some blues into the blacks. A fifth color lookup layer set to edgy amber to bring in some more warm tones. A sixth color lookup layer set to Kodak 5205 to again up the contrast slightly. A selective color layer affecting the reds, yellows, greens, and whites. Again, slow this down to get the exact settings. A curves layer to darken things up a bit, but bring some greens into the highlights there. You'll want to note the blend if settings here as well. And finally, a second curves to further bring up the greens inside those highlights. We'll finish up the overall color by adding a grungy rusted metal texture over everything. Set the texture to overlay, invert the texture, add a quick smart sharpen to sharpen things up, bringing out that detail, and then bump up the brightness and contrast. Now duplicate the texture and mask out the middle portion so that the corners look extra grungy. Then go ahead and set both of these textures to 8% opacity, and that will be our color grade. Now, onto the main gimmick, the gaping hole in the subject's face. To kick things off, we want to create the general shape of the hole. There are a few ways to go about this. You could, for instance, use the brush tool and paint it in using a hard round brush by hand. However, my preferred way is to use the pen tool. Go ahead and set your color to whatever you want the inside of your face to be. You likely want to go pretty dark, as we will be adding lighting in later on. Create a path in the shape of your hole, making sure to follow the natural curves of the face. Once happy, right-click Fill Path. This shape will be the guide for everything going forward, so try and make any edits to the form now, using a hard round brush to adjust any of the edges, for instance. Really taking time to refine the shape. To give our hole more dimension, we need to add a ridge to represent the edge of the face. So go ahead and create a color fill layer set to your subject's flesh tone, and then clip it into the hole layer. Duplicate the hole layer and clip the duplicate above the color layer. Now select the Move tool and nudge the whole copy over to the right until you get a simple ridge effect. How thick you want to make this is entirely up to you. Under the whole copy, you'll want to paint in some lighting and shading, focusing the light onto the center of the ridge and the shadows towards the edges. Stick to skin tones and black and white, using a mixture of soft light and normal layers. Just using a soft round brush. Now let's add our light that would be hitting the inside of the face. Again, we want to stick to using skin tones and black and white, with a mixture of soft light, overlay, and normal layers. Keep the lighting within the whole portion of the face by control-clicking the whole copy layer, and then painting within this selection. Keep refining the light by adding in some soft shadows and contrast layers, continuing to build up the light. Don't be afraid of creating layers here. Keep piling them on until you are happy with the results. Go ahead and finish up the whole by adding in some texture. I thought this old leather texture fit quite nicely, considering the theme of skin. Desaturate the texture and then bring down the brightness and up that contrast. Flip the texture into the whole layer, setting it to soft light and around 58% opacity. Easily mask out any part of the texture that is touching the ridge of the face by once again control-clicking the whole copy layer, and then inverting the selection by going to Select Invert. Then use a brush to mask out any of that unwanted texture, keeping things contained within the face. Add in some highlights to the texture by duplicating the leather texture and then setting the duplicate to color Dodge. Mask out any part of the texture that isn't hitting the lighter areas of the face. We don't want to add any more light to the shadowed regions of the face. And that's it. You can also add ridges to the right side of the face if you want to keep the face empty. However, if that is the case, I'd also spend a bit more time on lighting and textures. But as we will be filling this face with a bunch of slimy little worms, a lot of our lighting will end up being covered anyway. So just do what works best for you and your image. For our worms today, I will be using the stock of a pile of king worms. You can find them in the description below. Extract the worms using your method of choice. I personally use the quick selection tool to mask out the white background, and then clean things up using a hard black brush. But again, use whatever you are most comfortable with. Once extracted, you want to duplicate the worms and place them over top of the hollowed face, just in the general areas you'd like them to be, making sure to flip and rotate the duplicated worms so they don't look repetitive. Go ahead and group the two worms together. Now, you can't clip groups into layers, so if you ever need to constrain a group inside of certain boundaries, all you have to do is grab a selection of the shape you want your group to be contained in this case, the whole layer, and then add a layer mask to the group. The mask will take the shape of the selection. Then you can use a hard round brush set to white to paint back any of the worms you'd like to overflow from the edge of the face. Let's add a couple of adjustment layers to the group. First, a brightness contrast layer to darken and up the contrast of the worms. Then a black and white gradient map layer to desaturate things, setting the gradient map to around 45% opacity. To create a more intense overflow effect, duplicate your worms group, and then merge it together. Place the worms over the edge of the face, and then mask out some of the larvae using a hard round brush. Do this as many times as desired. In my opinion, the more worms, the better. Flip and rotate the copied worms so that, again, you have some variety in your worms. You want to avoid any repeating patterns. Once you are happy with the flow of your worms, group them all up. Create a brightness contrast layer and clip it into the final worms group to darken everything up and up the contrast. To create our shading and lighting, we aren't going to do anything fancy. There's no real method to my madness here. However, we are going to use about 1 million different layers, maybe less, maybe more. But just like the shading inside of the hollowed out face, you don't want to be conservative with the layers. Create as many as you need. To create shadows, you are going to use dark browns and blacks set to soft light and multiply, focusing on creating deeper shadows within and over top of the worms. For lighting, you want to focus on enhancing the highlights and bringing in more light to the areas that are too dark and would realistically be much more lit. You want to paint highlights on layers set to soft light, overlay, and normal. You can also use a masked curves layer to brighten up severely darkened areas where painting just won't do the trick. When painting both highlights and shadows, you want to keep your brush flow nice and low so you can build up the shadows and highlights slowly. Your brush size and hardness will vary. Remember, shadows and highlights have structure, so don't be afraid to up the hardness of the brush when needed. And finally, my not-so-secret weapon, Blend If. If you have watched me before, then you might have noticed I have a bit of a love affair with this tool. It helps shadows stay out of highlights and highlights to remain out of shadows. To access a layer's Blend If settings, double-click on the layer. Towards the bottom of the Layer Style panel, you will see Blend If. Hold Alt and then click and drag to move the sliders independently. Moving the sliders from right to left will make it so the layers will not show in the darker areas and vice versa for the lighter areas. The more you move each slider, the greater the effect. Honestly, Blend If is one of those tools that is best learned by simply playing around and experimenting with it, rather than listening to someone try and explain this wackadoodle slider system. Have some fun and try them out for yourself. Now, we don't want to forget to add some shadows being cast directly onto the face from the worms, as the lighting is pretty intense in this image. There definitely would be some shadows going on. You can use the same mixture of soft light and multiply layers to paint in some shadows, keeping the flow rate low as always. Then you can go ahead and create your deepest, darkest shadows using a masked out curves layer. Again, no fancy techniques here, just a good old round brush. Painting in shadows where you think makes sense. And finally, to finish things off, I want to play more with the contrast of themes we have going on here by adding some colorful light blooms to the portrait. Create a new layer and set it to screen. With our color grade group hidden, color pick colors from the flowers, leaves, and bright red hair. Then, with a very large soft round brush, paint blooms of light over the corresponding areas. Pink over the pink flowers, pale yellow over the white flowers, green over the leaves, and so on. We have some great purples here too. Take advantage of all the color this photo has to offer. Bring everything together and finish it up by adding an extra dose of contrast to everything. First, by placing a brightness contrast adjustment layer right above the subject, and then by using a couple of different layers set to overlay. Bring down the layer's opacity if needed, and then paint in some contrast using a brush set to black and white. Black for shadows and white for the highlights. Making sure to keep the flow rate nice and low so you can build things up slowly and smoothly. And there you have it. a hollowed out face effect that will fulfill all of your dastardly dirty needs or surrealist fantasies, depending on the extra details you choose to add, which is the best thing about tutorials. While the final result might come off as niche, the techniques taught can be applied to anything, anywhere, in any genre. I just give you the bones. It's up to you to do what you want with them. So if you like this video and would like to see more, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you aren't already, and don't forget to click the little bell icon to be notified of any and all new and inspiring videos. And if you are looking to learn even more, why not check out some of the other excellent tutorials that Envato Tuts Plus has to offer. I'm Abby Esparza. See you next time.